The crystal chandelier above cast fractured light across the marble floor as Hana's knees hit the cold stone. Her mother-in-law's voice cut through the murmur of dinner guests like a blade through silk. "Get her out, now." Min-jun stood beside his mother, his face twisted with disgust as he looked down at his wife of 3 years. "You had one job, Hana. One simple job. Give this family an heir. But you're broken, useless, barren." The word echoed through the grand dining hall. 30 pairs of eyes turned toward her. Hana's hands trembled against the floor, her fingernails scraping uselessly at the polished marble as 2 housemaids grabbed her arms. "Please," Hana whispered, her voice barely audible. "Min-jun, I can explain." "Explain what?" His mother stepped forward, her Chanel heels clicking with each deliberate step. "That you've wasted 3 years of my son's life? That you've brought shame to this family? That you've made us the laughingstock of Seoul's elite circles?" A guest near the window whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear. "I heard she's been to 7 different fertility clinics. All failures." Another voice joined in. "Poor Min-jun, tied to a woman who can't even fulfill her most basic duty." The maids yanked Hana to her feet. Her silk dress, the one she'd worn hoping to please her in-laws at this dinner party, tore slightly at the shoulder. She caught Min-jun's eyes one last time, searching for any trace of the man she'd married, the man she'd protected with every fiber of her being. "I kept your secret," she said softly. The words meant only for him. "Even when it destroyed me, I kept your secret." His face paled for just a moment before hardening again. "My lawyers will contact you. If you try to take anything from this family, I'll destroy what little reputation you have left." The maids dragged her through the hallway, past the priceless paintings and imported sculptures that had never felt like home. Her belongings, hastily thrown into 2 torn suitcases, waited by the front door. They pushed her outside into the December night, and the heavy doors slammed behind her with a finality that echoed in her chest. Snow fell in thick, silent curtains. Hana stood on the front steps with her bare feet. Somewhere between the dining hall and the door, she'd lost her shoes. The cold bit into her skin, but she couldn't feel it. Couldn't feel anything, except the hollowness spreading through her body like poison. She'd spent 3 years in that house. 3 years of fertility tests that came back perfect, showing she was healthy, capable, normal. 3 years of lying to doctors at Min-jun's desperate request, telling them the problem was hers. 3 years of enduring his mother's venomous comments, the pitying looks from relatives, the whispers at social gatherings. She'd done it all to protect his pride, to save him from the shame of being the infertile one in a family that valued lineage above all else. And this was her reward. Hana picked up her suitcases with numb fingers and walked down the long driveway. The security gates opened automatically as she approached, sensing her departure, then closed behind her with a mechanical hiss. She stood on the street, watching her breath form clouds in the frigid air. Her phone was dead. Her bank accounts, she knew, were already frozen. Min-jun's family controlled everything, including the money she'd foolishly allowed to be transferred into joint accounts. She had nothing, no one to call, no family of her own since her parents passed away 2 years ago. The few friends she'd had before marriage had drifted away, unable to penetrate the controlling walls Min-jun had built around her life. The snow accumulated on her shoulders as she walked, not knowing where she was going. Her feet left bloody prints on the white pavement. Somewhere in the distance, she heard the city continuing its life, oblivious to her destruction. She collapsed on a bus stop bench, her body finally giving in to the cold. Tears froze on her cheeks as they fell. She'd cried so many times in that mansion, in bathrooms during parties, in the guest bedroom where Min-jun had banished her months ago, in the garden while his mother hosted her cruel tea parties. But she'd never cried like this, never let herself completely break. The sound of engines cut through her fog of despair. Hana looked up to see a convoy of black SUVs pulling up to the curb, their headlights blinding in the snowy darkness. Car doors opened in synchronized precision. Men in dark suits emerged, moving with military efficiency to form a perimeter. Then he stepped out. Jin-Soo Kang was taller than she remembered, his presence commanding despite his measured movements. His black coat hung open over an expensive suit, and his dark eyes scanned the street before landing on her. For a moment, he simply stared, his jaw tightening as he took in her slightly torn dress, bare feet, and the suitcases beside her. He moved toward her with swift, purposeful steps. His guards immediately flanked him, but he raised a hand, and they stopped, creating a protective circle around the bus stop without crowding her. Jin-Soo removed his coat as he approached, his movements careful, as if she were a wounded animal that might bolt. He draped it over her shoulders, and the warmth of it, still holding his body heat, made her gasp. Who did this? His voice was quiet, but there was something lethal underneath it, something that made her instinctively understand why people feared this man. Hana's teeth chattered too violently to respond. She tried to pull his coat tighter around herself, but her fingers wouldn't cooperate. Jin-Soo crouched in front of her, bringing himself to eye level. Recognition flickered in his expression, followed by something that looked like barely contained rage. "I know you," he said softly. "The library. 7 years ago. You saved my life." The memory surfaced through her shock. A college evening, gunshots on campus, a wounded stranger stumbling into the basement where she'd been studying. She'd hidden him behind book stacks, lied to police, brought him water and bandages from the first aid kit. She'd never known his name, never seen him again after that night. "You're coming home with me," Jin-Soo said, and it wasn't a question. Before she could process his words, he'd lifted her into his arms. His guards immediately moved into formation around them. Someone grabbed her suitcases. She was placed in the back of the center SUV, Jin-Soo sliding in beside her as his men took positions in the other vehicles. The convoy moved through Seoul's streets like a dark river. Hana sat wrapped in Jin-Soo's coat, her body slowly thawing in the heated interior. He made a phone call in rapid Korean, his tone commanding but controlled. "Doctor, penthouse, now." "Yes, hypothermia protocol. Also bring the full medical team. I want every test available." He ended the call and turned to her. "Your feet are bleeding. When did you last eat?" "I don't know," Hana whispered. "This morning?" "Maybe yesterday." His jaw clenched. "The family that threw you out. Their name?" "Please don't," she said, finding her voice. "Please don't do anything. I just want to disappear." "You don't get to disappear." His eyes held hers with an intensity that made her chest tighten. "Not when I just found you again." The penthouse was all floor-to-ceiling windows and minimalist luxury. A medical team waited in the living room, setting up equipment with practiced efficiency. A woman who introduced herself as Dr. Park guided Hana to a bedroom where warm clothes had already been laid out. "Mr. Kang has very specific instructions about your care," Dr. Park said gently, as she examined Hana's feet. "Don't worry, you're safe now." Over the next hour, Hana was cleaned, bandaged, fed warm soup, and subjected to various medical tests. Through it all, she caught glimpses of Jin-Soo through the open doorway, standing with his arms crossed, watching like a sentinel who'd finally found what he'd been guarding against losing. When the medical team finally left, Jin-Soo entered the bedroom and sat in the chair across from where she'd been installed on a sofa with blankets and pillows. The Seoul skyline glittered behind him through the massive windows. "I need you to understand something," he said, his voice low and measured. 7 years ago, you saved my life when you had every reason to run. You were just a college student who stumbled into a gang war. But you hid me, protected me, lied to armed police for a stranger covered in blood. I didn't know who you were," Hana said. "Exactly." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "You saved me because it was right, not because of power or money or fear, just because you saw someone who needed help." He paused, something vulnerable crossing his features. "I've spent 7 years building an empire, making sure I'd never be that powerless again. And the entire time, I've had people searching for you." The girl with kind eyes who asked if I was okay before asking anything else. Why? The word came out as barely a whisper. Because in my world, people like you don't exist. People who help without wanting something back. People who keep promises, even when it costs them everything. His eyes held hers. I found you 2 years ago. Watched you marry into that family. Watched them break you piece by piece. Every instinct I had screamed to intervene. But you seemed happy at first, and I thought maybe I'd been wrong about you needing protection from that life. Hana's throat tightened. You've been watching me? Protecting you from a distance, he corrected. My men have been following you since your wedding day, making sure you stayed safe. Tonight, when they reported you'd been thrown out in a snowstorm, barefoot and crying. His hands clenched into fists. I've killed men for less than what your husband's family did to you. I don't want revenge, Hana said quickly. I just want to forget. You'll have whatever you want, Jin-Soo replied. But first, you need to know something. Your medical tests from tonight? Doctor, Park found something interesting. Fear shot through her. What? What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. His expression softened in a way that transformed his entire face. Hana, you're not barren. Your fertility tests show you're perfectly healthy. More than healthy. You're in optimal condition for... He stopped himself. There's nothing wrong with you. There never was. The words hung in the air between them. Hana felt something crack open inside her chest. 3 years of shame and self-doubt shattering like ice under spring sun. I know, she whispered. I've always known. The tests. They showed Min-jun was the one with the problem. But he begged me not to tell anyone. Said it would destroy his family's reputation, ruin his relationship with his mother. So I agreed to take the blame. To let everyone think I was the broken one. Jin-Soo's entire body went still. When he spoke, his voice was deadly quiet. You let them torture you for 3 years to protect a man's pride? I loved him, Hana said, and the past tense of the word felt like freedom. Or, I thought I did. I thought marriage meant sacrifice. That love meant protecting your partner even when it hurt. Love, Jin-Soo said slowly, should never require you to destroy yourself. Before Hana could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and a cold smile crossed his face. It seems news travels fast. Your ex-husband's family just released a statement to the media. They're claiming you're barren and mentally unstable. They're painting themselves as victims of your deception. The words should have hurt, but Hana felt only numbness. Of course they are. Jin-Soo stood, straightening his suit jacket. Get some rest. Tomorrow is going to be interesting. What are you going to do? Hana asked. But he was already walking toward the door. He paused at the threshold, looking back at her with an expression that was part promise, part warning. I'm going to give them exactly what they deserve. The truth. The next morning, Hana woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the sound of her phone buzzing continuously. Her old phone, she realized. Someone had charged it. She picked it up to find hundreds of notifications, all linking to the same news story. The headline made her heart stop. Medical records leaked. Prominent Seoul family's infertility secret revealed. The article was devastating in its thoroughness. Complete medical records showing Min-jun's infertility diagnosis from 4 years ago. Testimony from 3 different doctors confirming Hana's perfect health. Text messages between Min-jun and his mother discussing how to blame Hana publicly. Even a recording of the dinner party where she'd been thrown out, someone's phone capturing every cruel word. But the final paragraph was what made Hana's hands shake. Sources close to the family confirmed that Mrs. Park knowingly took the blame for her husband's condition for 3 years, enduring public humiliation and private abuse to protect his reputation. The question Seoul society is now asking: what kind of family destroys the woman who sacrificed everything for them? Her phone rang. An unknown number. She answered with trembling fingers. You did this. Min-jun's voice was ragged with panic and rage. You leaked everything. You're destroying us. I didn't, Hana started, but he cut her off. My mother collapsed this morning. The board is demanding my resignation. Every news outlet in Korea is calling us liars and abusers. You have to make a statement. You have to tell them it's not true, that you lied about the medical records. But I didn't lie, Hana said, her voice steadier than she felt. Those records are real. The truth is real. You're just upset that people finally know it. I gave you everything, Minjun shouted. A home, status, luxury. And this is how you repay me? By ruining us? You threw me out in the snow barefoot, Hana said quietly. You let your mother abuse me for 3 years. You made me lie to doctors and take blame for something that was never my fault. You gave me nothing but pain disguised as love. She ended the call. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear, from something else. Something that felt like power awakening after years of dormancy. Jin-Soo appeared in the doorway, 2 cups of coffee in his hands. Your ex-husband has been trying to get past building security for the last hour. My men are keeping him in the lobby. He called me, Hana said. He wants me to lie again, to save his reputation. And what do you want? Jin-Soo set the coffee down and sat beside her. Close enough that she could feel his warmth, but not touching. Always giving her space to choose. I want. Hana took a shaky breath. I want to stop being afraid. I want to stop making myself smaller, so other people can feel bigger. I want to matter. You matter, Jin-Soo said. And the certainty in his voice made something in her chest tighten. You've always mattered. You just spent 3 years with people who needed you to believe you didn't. A commotion erupted from the penthouse entrance. Raised voices, scuffling. Then, Minjun burst into the living room, 3 of Jin-Soo's guards immediately moving to intercept him. He looked terrible. His expensive suit wrinkled, his hair disheveled, his eyes wild. Hana, please. He stopped when he saw her on the sofa, Jin-Soo beside her, his expression twisted with something ugly. So this is it? You leave me for some gangster? How long have you been sleeping with him? Jin-Soo stood slowly, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop. You have 3 seconds to apologize before I forget. I promised her no bloodshed. Apologize? Minjun laughed, the sound brittle and desperate. She destroyed my family. My mother is in the hospital. The company's stock is plummeting, all because she couldn't keep her mouth shut. I didn't leak anything, Hana said, standing as well. Her legs felt stronger than they had in years. But I'm glad the truth is out. I'm glad people know what you really are. What I really am? Minjun's face flushed red. I'm the victim here. I'm the one who took you in when you had nothing. Your parents were dead. You had no money, no connections. I gave you everything, and you were supposed to be grateful. Grateful? Hana's voice rose, 3 years of silence breaking like a dam. Grateful that you married me to have someone to blame for your inadequacy? Grateful that your mother spent 3 years calling me worthless? Grateful that you threw me out like trash the moment I stopped being useful? Jin-Soo moved to stand beside her, not in front of her, beside her. His presence was solid and reassuring, but he let her fight this battle herself. You were nothing without me, Minjun spat. And you'll be nothing without my family's name. Wrong, Jin-Soo said, his voice soft and lethal. She was always everything. You just needed her to believe she was nothing so you could feel like something. Now get out. If you come near her again, I won't be responsible for what happens. Minjun's eyes darted between them, calculation replacing desperation. You think you've won? You think this is over? My family has connections. Power. We'll destroy both of you. Try. Jin-Soo said simply. Please. Try. Something in his tone must have finally penetrated Minjun's panic, because he paled. He looked at Hana one last time, and she saw it clearly now. Not love. Not even anger, just fear of losing control. You'll regret this, Minjun said, as the guards escorted him toward the elevator. Both of you will regret this. When he was gone, the penthouse fell silent, except for the distant hum of the city below. Hana sank back onto the sofa, adrenaline leaving her body shaky. "Are you okay?" Jin-Soo asked, sitting beside her again. "I don't know," Hana admitted. "I don't know what I am. 3 years of being told I was worthless, broken, the problem, and now everyone knows the truth, but I still feel." She struggled for the word. "Hollow. That's normal," Jin-Soo said quietly. "You've been living in survival mode for so long that you forgot what it feels like to just exist, to take up space without apologizing for it, to want things without feeling guilty." He paused. "It's going to take time to remember who you are underneath all the pain they piled on you." Hana looked at him, really looked at him for the first time since that night in the library 7 years ago. "Why are you doing this? You could have anyone. Why save someone as broken as me?" "You're not broken," Jin-Soo said firmly. "You're a woman who survived 3 years in a house designed to destroy you, and you're still kind, still gentle, still capable of caring about others even after they failed to care about you." His hand moved slowly toward hers, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he took her hand carefully, like it was something precious. "You saved my life once. Let me return the favor." 2 weeks passed in strange, surreal peace. Hana stayed in Jin-Soo's penthouse, slowly recovering both physically and emotionally. The scandal continued to dominate Seoul society. Min-jun's family lost business contracts, social invitations to respect. His mother remained in the hospital, claiming stress-induced health issues. Min-jun himself had gone into hiding, unable to face the public humiliation. Dr. Park visited regularly, monitoring Hana's health. On a quiet evening with snow falling outside the windows, the doctor requested a private meeting. "I need to share something with you," Dr. Park said gently, sitting across from Hana in the penthouse's study. "Your latest test results came back. Hana, you're pregnant." The world tilted. "What?" "About 6 weeks along, based on the hormone levels. Given the timeline, it would have happened just before you were thrown out." Dr. Park's expression was kind but serious. "This is completely your choice what you do with this information. Mr. Kang has already made it clear that you have full autonomy over all medical decisions." Hana's hand moved instinctively to her stomach. Pregnant. With Min-jun's child. The cruel irony of it made her want to laugh and cry simultaneously. "Does Jin-Soo know?" she asked. "He requested the pregnancy test specifically," Dr. Park admitted. "He suspected based on some of your symptoms. But he insisted I tell only you. He said you'd share it if and when you wanted." After Dr. Park left, Hana sat alone in the study, her hand still pressed against her stomach. A baby. The thing Min-jun had wanted so desperately, claimed was impossible, blamed her for not providing. And now she carried it, but he would never know. The divorce had been finalized days ago, rushed through by his family's lawyers in their desperation to distance themselves from her. She found Jin-Soo on the penthouse balcony, despite the cold, staring out at Seoul's glittering skyline. He turned when he heard her approach, his expression carefully neutral. "Dr. Park told you," he said. "Not a question." "You knew," Hana replied. "You suspected." The timing made sense. Your symptoms matched. He studied her face in the ambient light from the city below. "Are you okay?" "I don't know," Hana said honestly. "It's his baby. The man who threw me away. The man who made me hate myself. And now, I'm carrying proof that he was always the liar. Not me." "It's your baby," Jin-Soo corrected gently. "Not his. Yours. Whatever you decide to do, I'll support you. If you want to keep it, you'll never lack for anything. If you don't, I'll make sure you have the best care available. This is your choice, Hana. Only yours." She stepped closer to the balcony railing, looking out at the city that had witnessed her destruction and reconstruction. "They all said I was barren, cursed, broken. And now I'm pregnant. And the only person who knows besides you and Dr. Park is me." She turned to face him. "What does that make me?" "Powerful," Jin-Soo said immediately. It makes you powerful. Because you hold the truth, and you get to decide what to do with it. Min-jun can never know, Hana said, the decision forming, even as she spoke. This baby deserves better than a father who would use it as a trophy to restore his reputation. Better than a family that would turn it into a bargaining chip. Agreed, Jin-Soo said. So what do you want? Hana took a deep breath of cold night air, feeling it fill her lungs, clear and sharp. I want peace. I want to raise this child away from people who measure worth by bloodlines and social status. I want to finally build a life where I don't have to apologize for existing. Jin-Soo was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I have a house. In Jeju Island. Ocean views, private beach, far from Seoul society. It's been empty for years. I bought it thinking someday I'd want to escape the life I've built. He met her eyes. It's yours if you want it. No strings. No obligations. Just a place to heal and start over. Why? Hana asked. The question that had haunted her since that snowy night. Why do you care so much? One act of kindness 7 years ago, and you've upended your entire life for me. Jin-Soo stepped closer. Close enough that she could see the scars on his hands from the night she'd bandaged him in that library basement. Because 7 years ago, I was bleeding out in a basement, and a stranger with gentle eyes asked if I was okay before asking if I was dangerous. You saw me as human first. His voice dropped lower, rougher. Everyone in my world wants something from me. Power, protection, money, fear. But you gave without wanting anything back. You saved me, and when I tried to pay you, you'd already disappeared. I thought you were just some guy caught in crossfire, Hana whispered. I was, Jin-Soo said. I was just some guy who got shot, and you were just some girl who helped. But that moment showed me what I'd lost building my empire. Humanity. Kindness. The ability to see people as people instead of assets or threats. He reached up slowly, giving her time to move away, and brushed a strand of hair from her face. I've spent 7 years trying to find that feeling again. Trying to find you. And when I finally did, you were suffering in a different kind of prison than the one I'd built for myself. So this is guilt? Hana asked, but her voice held no accusation, only curiosity. This is recognition, Jin-Soo corrected, of someone who understands what it means to survive in a world that wants to break you, of someone who kept their kindness even when the world rewarded cruelty. His hand fell away from her face. I'm not asking for anything, Hana. I'm not trying to replace your ex-husband or claim your baby or trap you in a different cage. I'm just offering you freedom to choose your own life for the first time in years. Hana felt tears slide down her cheeks, but they weren't tears of sadness. I was never barren, she said. And the words felt like an incantation, breaking the final curse. I was just loved by the wrong person. Yes, Jin-Soo agreed softly. You were simply loved by someone who didn't know how. The snow continued to fall on Seoul, covering the city in white. But here, on the balcony, wrapped in warmth and acceptance and the strange safety of a dangerous man who'd chosen protection over possession, Hana finally felt the pieces of herself beginning to knit back together. The house in Jeju, she said. Does it have a nursery? Jin-Soo's smile was subtle, but genuine. It will, by the time you get there. Below them, the city glittered with 1,000,000 lives, 1,000,000 stories. Somewhere in that sprawl, Min-jun and his family were learning that truth had consequences. That the woman they'd thrown away had never needed them to be whole. And in the penthouse above it all, Hana placed her hand on her stomach and whispered to the life growing there. Welcome home.